Xbox, Record This is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, Xbox, and the good old days. If you'd like to find out more, head to xboxrecordthis.com. Oh, hello. DaddyDWALLY here, and welcome to Xbox Record This episode 13?
12.
Episode 12. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Episode 12. As always, my name is DaddyDWALLY, the official creator of XRT and host, and I'm joined by my assistant to the co-host, Chipotle Bear. Chipotle Bear, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great. Thank you for the shout out. Just enjoying some fantastic Tokyo Games Olympics this evening. And of course, getting ready for the work week, but doing really well. How are you doing, man?
I'm very good, Jose. I can't wait to talk. We got a lot of news. I thought we were going to slow down with the Xbox news, but it just keeps on coming, boys. So I've got a segment dedicated just for future that's going to be just dedicated to how amazing Game Pass is. But we already know that, but I'm excited to share that with you. So keep that in mind. Joining us, as always, as well, the assistant to the co-hosts, Bubble Boy and Seven. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Got the dishes going. So killing two birds with one stone. Hopefully you can all hear that in the background. And
yes. So again, you guys, the assistant to the co-host has, if it's not technical problems, he's either on an airplane or he's got his washer and dryer on in the background. So again, he just keeps getting lower and lower on his chances of being officially hired. So let's move on, guys. I wanted to give some special shout outs. Okay. Shout outs to our listeners. The first shout out I'd like to say is a shout out to big old Mikey over at Big Time Babble, Captain Caveman. He was talking to me about the podcast. He's a fan and a listener. We were discussing some things. We dropped in the Warzone the other night, and I was just glad to, talk to Mikey. It's always a pleasure. He was playing on a Series S. He loves it. He's like, it's all I need. And a shout out to Mikey over at Big Time Babble. Another shout out, you guys, is to Mr. Kyle Siaka. Kyle Siaka went to middle and high school with all of us. He's one of my dearest friends growing up. And we actually, I've been friends with Kyle from elementary school through college. We lived together in college, graduated. And a sad fun fact, which isn't so fun, I haven't seen Kyle since about 2007 or 2008. And it makes me very sad. He moved to Asia and has been teaching English out there ever since, and I haven't seen him. But the reason I want to give him a shout out is we still keep in touch through WeChat, which is a illegal Chinese app now that is still on my phone, but that's how we communicate.
That's how we roll on XRT.
Exactly.
The Chinese.
I don't care if they're spying on me. Everybody is. And he was talking to me about how much he's listened to the show. He loves it. And that, I just wanted to give him a little shout out here. Actually, his direct quote was, Dan, I listened to a couple of the podcasts. Good stuff. I like the good old days segments. I remember experiencing that Resident Evil 2 part with the arms busting out of the walls with you in your basement. Ha 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 ha. You guys are really serious gamers. I feel like there's a whole world out there I'm missing out on. I just play PUBG Mobile. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for listening. And we don't, we're not going to harp on you too much for just being a mobile PUBG player. But I hear that's big out there in Asia. So shout out to Kyle in Thailand. And last but not least, you guys, another special shout out. Xbox Record This on YouTube got its first subscriber that wasn't one of us. And I'd like to give a huge XRT shout out to our new YouTube subscriber, Zach Attacks. YouTube is looks like his name, so it's Zach Attacks YT. So shout out, make sure to go check out his channel. Shout out to Zach Attacks.
Shout out Zach Attack. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, actually, I hate to break it to you. That's Quora's bot.
I don't believe you. He actually has a few thousand subscribers. So shout out to Zach Attacks. We really do appreciate that, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Guys, let's jump into it. What have we been playing? I know Chipotle Bear kind of took a week off last week, so I'd like to start with him and hear what he's been playing. Even though I think we all know what he's still continuing his journey on. So, Jose, what have you been playing, friend?
So as I'm sure most of you guessed, if you've been listening, Mass Effect 3 is what I've been playing. But big news, I did finish Mass Effect on Friday night, so I stayed up late. And again, it was one of those things where I had played it before, so this wasn't a first playthrough. Obviously, this was obviously in the Legendary Edition, but I was really enjoying it, and so I did literally as much of the DLC as I could. I did as much of the story I could. I will admit that there were still a few, probably about 10 tasks that I didn't go back and finish at the end because it was like, go find this like ship part for this guy, and I just at that point I really just wanted to finish because I obviously have a massive backlog. I gotta get to Alan Wake, I gotta get to Senua, obviously Cyberpunk maybe one day before Christmas. We'll get to, but that's what I've been playing. But I did finish Mass Effect 3, a wonderful ending. I hope one day in the future we can do our Mass Effect spoiler alert episode, because it would just be fun to talk about a lot of really great stuff, the choices we made, especially romantically. I always love, that's one of my favorite parts of the game, talking with who people chose and why. But I also did download Space Jam New Legacy. I do really want to try that out with Penelope this week. And of course, Alan Wake is sitting ready to go. So I'm going to try to burn through some of those this week, but that's really what I've been playing this week. It's been great.
I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on Alan Wake when you get to it. Bubble Boy, what about you, my friend?
I picked up the Tomb Raider Definitive Trilogy for $20 for the game or the Xbox Summer Sale. And at first, I usually look forward to those sales like nobody's business. And I saw that it was there and was like, well, there's nothing I need, is there? Like, maybe I'll skip it. And then was scrolling through and saw that. And based off of our discussion from last week was inspired me to go pick that up. And my goodness, that game, the graphics still hold up today. I think the animations still hold up. The gameplay's a little, I wouldn't say dated, but I think, again,
it's a little rough though,
first...
like the third-person shooting, right? That's what you're...
Yeah.
We're talking about the Definitive Edition and then Shadow and Rise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So,
did you see there was that footage of, I think it was a PS5 running it on high fidelity and high frame rate mode that came out today, and it actually looks amazing. Even the YouTube stream of it, which obviously is like degraded quality, looks amazing. It's honestly a game they use a lot of times for benchmarks because it has such great textures and lighting and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a great game.
I can't wait to play the whole thing through again because I am anxious or excited to see if the new reboot Lara Croft will make that list of inspirational female characters. So
yeah, I loved all of those games, and I would love to go back and play the Definitive Edition because I don't know if I ever played that on Xbox One. I think I played that.
I guess I didn't. So because I had 0 achievements on it, so
you're lucky.
I must not. I know. I must not have.
See, there's a whole other meta game right there. It's like I can't replay it if I'm not going to earn achievements. You know how it is, Chance. Well, boys, I have dropped in the Warzone a little bit, like I'd mentioned. I played some Halo MCC. I don't know if you guys do this, but they have those Xbox quests. I don't know if you've checked out the rewards. And sometimes I jump in and I do it. I've earned I literally got $40 from all of the quests I've done that I spent, that bought my DLC to Doom, that purchased Death's Door. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but we'll talk about that in a second. And it's completely worth it if you can do it. I wish I should look up a way to spam and, mine the points by doing Bing searches, but, it's pretty easy. I'm already almost up to 4,000. And once you get to around 8 or 9 or 10,000, somewhere in there, that's $10 in Microsoft points or whatever, cash or gift cards. So highly recommend it if you aren't doing that already. But guys, I'm excited to say that last night at around 12:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I beat Narita boy, and it almost got me there. I was at the final boss, and I actually had to beat it twice because the first time I did it, I did a recording of it right away. And then when it came back to the game, I was pressing A to advance the dialogue, and it wasn't registering like it normally was. And I was like, are you serious? I thought it was going to screw me out of the achievement. I was so mad. I was like, this can't be happening. This can't be. Unplugged it, replugged the controller, tried it. It was glitched out. And so I had to do it all over again. And it was not easy, but I beat the final boss twice. And I really love Narita boy. Chance, I saw you jumped into it for a little bit. Before I give my quick review, I want to hear, what did you think of what you played so far?
I liked it. You know what kind of deterred me a little bit from it, and I hope you have the answer for this, is so much flashing lights that kind of distracted me, and I don't know that I certainly haven't ever had any major health concerns from them, but it was too much.
Well, let's get into the review because I'm going to address that right now. So, this is an official Xbox Record This review of Narita Boy. It took me about, I think it was somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 12, 14 hours. I don't know if it really took that long, but I did take my time. I did everything. I got 1,000 out of 1,000 on it. I think it could have been shorter depending on, but I think the game length was perfect. So let's go. I would describe this game as Outer World or Another World. I don't know if you guys played that on Super Nintendo, and Another World is the more recent one. Those graphics meeting 80s cyberpunk style meets Ori combat with a little bit of Metroidvania elements. I think that's the best way to describe it. Here are the pros. It was incredibly unique style and graphics. It's not like anything I've played before. It has I don't know if Chance ever got to experience some of this. It has a really interesting story that was shared to you in cool little memory type things that you find. I think the combat was satisfactory for the most point at times. There were cool and varied bosses that I enjoyed fighting. And like I kind of said earlier, it was just a very cool, diverse, unique delivery of levels and gameplay. Cons. First con, photosensitivity is real with these graphics. And it even says it at the beginning of the game that if you're photosensitive at all, don't play it. And it's pretty bad. You're right, Chance. And there were times where I'm like, I can't even look at this. And I didn't think it was ever, it didn't stop me as much as like it did you apparently. But there are times where I'm like, this is ridiculous and I don't like this. So the photosensitivity, I don't know if they can patch that or not. I don't know. That's just the style
So it
they
didn't
went with.
change?
No, it was really bad with those memories with like that. Whenever there was one of those TVs, it's throughout the whole game, man. Like there's no way you can avoid it. And if you're having problems now, then no, I don't think you're going to make it. So that really sucks. There were a few frustrating bosses, not that they were too hard, but I definitely felt like things were like, I would be like, this is dumb. Like I can't do this. Like this is stupid. Like I'm just getting frustrated, but eventually, you'd figure it out and get by, but it was definitely like, whereas I don't know, like Ori, and I'm trying to think of other Metroidvania games. I always felt like it was fair. Like sometimes these games don't feel fair, And then encounters became a little repetitive at times, especially at the end. They were just spamming enemies at you. And there was a lot of times where you'd just be walking and nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden enemies would be there. So as cool as it was, there were definitely some cons. So overall, I'd give this a 7 out of 10, a good game. I do think it is a very good game. I highly recommend Narita Boy if you can deal with the photosensitivity things. I really enjoyed the unique presentation and story. It's not like any game I played before. The only real thing holding it back from an 8 or a 9 to me was sometimes there were a lot of empty times walking around and backtracking, repetitive enemy encounters, but that was about it. And the photosensitivity. I can't wait for the sequel. They set up a sequel very clearly at the end, and it's actually really cool, and I don't want to spoil it. I don't know a chance if you'll be able to, but it's cool. And I can't say too much, but they clearly are like, hey, we're going to make another game, and it's going to be like this, is how I would say it. And this is a gem that I wouldn't have played if not for Game Pass. So shout out to Game Pass. Shout out to the developers. I was going to write it down. I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll add that another time. To the Narita Boy developers. I loved it. And sadly, I just want to add this little statistic here. Only 5% of gamers finish this game. And we should have a discussion on that as well. And when you look at achievements, like I think it's something like 20% of gamers actually finish games, which is crazy. So that is my review.
Studio Koba.
Studio Koba. Shout out to Studio Koba. Thank you. You just went up a notch. Thank you. Okay, assistant to the co-host. Thank you so much for this game.
Power rankings up in here.
Shout out. Studio, what was it? Koba?
Koba.
Shout out to Studio Koba for Narita.
Well, maybe they'll hear your review and listen to XRT, become big fans, obviously. Yeah, and then in the sequel, they'll reduce the photosensitivity. They'll address it.
Oh, and I did mention last week that there was this one part where you're on this horse, and I guess it was really hard, and people were like really pissed about it. They definitely patched that, and it was easy. Like I got through it on the first try, so that was good. looking back, like thinking about it right now, it was fair. It was a great game. The more I think about the boss thing, I'm like, that's subjective, right? Like difficulty with that. So highly recommend it. Chance, I'm sorry that the photosensitivity thing, I completely agree with. Like it's bad. So that is my review of Narita Boy. Chance, did you want to ask anything else? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just bummed because I was really intrigued by the way the memory thing worked, and I did
Yeah, that
watch
was really
the
cool.
first memory, I think, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, this is great! I'm
Yeah,
excited to see how this plays out." And what a neat,
exactly.
um, very different, right?
Yeah,
And just kind of I'll probably try it again. Um, but I
yeah,
might try it on my phone actually. I know
maybe,
you said probably not because it is one of those Ori like games, but I don't think the flashing will be as bad on my
maybe.
phone.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe because you've got that fancy OLED and the deep blacks and the HDR content. So I definitely recommend it. So why don't we jump into the Xbox news for the week, if that's all right with you guys? First story, and this is coming from Call of Duty News, is the tweet I saw. The California state government has filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard for some truly horrifying workplace issues, including what the lawsuit alleges as frat culture at work. And I also kind of copied a tweet from Richard Hogue. I think it's Hogue Law, a big fan of Last Stand Media, and he's a lawyer who specializes and makes content around video games. And there are allegations here of systemic underpayment for women, felicitation of harassment, general cultural issues that are serious and deserve to be taken seriously. And this is, again, he's a lawyer who really looked into it and made some videos on it. I just want to hear your thoughts on when you read about this lawsuit. And I know we hear a lot of lawsuits or recently with Ubisoft and similar situations. Jose, why don't you? I want to hear your thoughts on this because you're kind of the you went to the Harvard of the West, so I'd like to hear your intellectual thoughts on this, please.
Absolutely. Shout out to UNC, Harvard of the West. So two things. I didn't know a whole lot about this. Like I'd kind of heard, I think, rumblings about it. And then the one thing I saw today, I don't know if it was on Twitter where I saw it, but apparently there was a big sit-in in a bunch of the Blizzard servers, like digitally, virtually, people were sending their characters to do like a sit-in, which sounds kind of silly, but it was prominent enough to make a story. And I think it's the idea is that it's sending the message that like, as a gaming community, that I think we talked about this in the past, that there are many places where there's a lot of negativity in our history, and still a lot of places where that exists today. I'm not saying it's gone by any means, but I like to see that the climate and culture is shifting to say that like, look, it's not okay to be a jerk or to do bad things and just say like, oh, that's just what we do. We're gamers, we don't, the land of the law that's lawless. So I'm grateful that this is being kind of light is being shed upon it and hopefully maybe rectify it in some way. What's I think is definitely going to be challenging and unfortunate, not necessarily for Blizzard or Activision. I mean, if they are supporting this kind of a culture, that's definitely not great. Don't want to support that. Is that it's going to have really sweeping issues with the company, right? With all of their games and their IP and stuff like that. And that it's a big challenge. I mean, it's something where, especially with regards to like the female stuff, like it's ridiculous to me that in 2021 there are companies where there's still like rampant unfair pay or where you're encouraging this kind of culture, like absolutely not acceptable. So I'm glad to see that they're pursuing it. I guess the harder question is, I don't know what is the outcome that everybody wants, other than of course like we want it to stop, yes, but like I don't know how that's harder than it sounds to play out in games, because I just playing their games, you wouldn't necessarily know about that culture. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know, maybe it's a change in leadership, maybe it's a cleaning of house kind of thing. I don't know. But again, just glad to see that people are saying that this is not okay and taking a stand and hopefully making everything better, right? A more accepting community is better for all of us at all times. So that's,
Yeah,
I guess, just my general thoughts.
and I mean I agree. Like some of the stuff obviously is horrific, and you don't want that happening in any workplace. But the problem I have with a lot of these, or not problem, I guess, is it just kind of is difficult to make any judgments or anything because like it's a lawsuit, right? Like nothing has come out yet. We don't know if these people are really guilty or if these people are just claiming this or they could be innocent, So like that's what's difficult for me when I see these things is like we got to wait until we see the outcome of these lawsuits. And if these people are really guilty or not. And if they are, like, obviously get them out. And I like what you said about how the negativity, like, just get rid of it. And I've seen some tweets recently, and I forgot who said it, but it's like, I finally feel like people are just kind of over this, these keyboard warriors complaining in console wars and just being all negative all the time. It's like, dude, just grow up. And like, if you have a problem with me, I'm blocking you right away. We don't need that. And it's getting out of control. And I feel like people are finally just have had enough of it and they're moving on. So Chance, do you have any thoughts on the whole lawsuit with Activision? I mean, you don't really play many of their games.
No, but it does make me think, because we were just having this conversation. I think most people know my wife is 8 months pregnant, and this is our second child. And during the whole pregnancy, from start to finish, it taught me for the first time how utterly and completely useless the male body is as a species, like biologically speaking.
Very true.
I think evolution. Yeah, I assume you both feel exactly the same way. That like 10,000 years from now, there won't be men, I don't think, right? Like, because we are useless. And to see all the things that like my wife and your wife's and all females go through for that is just mind boggling. And to think that that would ever translate in a workspace, or really any space where you could put someone down just for being a woman, like I don't get it, because again, all the women that are close to me in my life are way stronger and better than me at pretty much everything they do, and so I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, because we're in education, and it's, I think, most probably female dominated, right? So for the most, would you say that? I mean, percentage wise, maybe at elementaries and lower levels.
I think it depends at the level.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely dominated at the elementary level, and it's changing, I think, at the secondary level.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree. I mean, our superintendent's female. She's rad. I really like working for her. And the females that I work with are amazing and powerful and strong. And
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, it's, I've never been in a world that's not treated women
like it's
like
so
that. So it's hard for me to understand.
Like, this could be happening, especially, I don't know, at a video game developer. Like, what do
It's
they
such a big one too, right? Like, you would just think, like, how does that not get out the second it happens and just get shot down immediately, right? Like,
again, because we're not women and we're not in that position, so we don't know what it's like to be like, if I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, discriminated against because of our sex, like that's not something we have ever really to think about. And you brought up women just being, or it's just, we're gonna be like Asari. It's just gonna be women everywhere, just like in Mass Effect. Like, they don't need.
I can remember not understanding that the first time, and then playing it again however many years later and being like, see, that's what I was talking about. We are just evolution is just gonna write us out, because we really are pretty much useless.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine giving birth, like, and Allie carrying twins, like, insane. Like, insane. Can you imagine that? Like, she had a 9-pound and an 8-pound baby inside of her, and
I'm a huge baby when I get a cold. You can ask my wife; she'll verify. I couldn't imagine. It's being pregnant.
You're right.
No, the human race would have been it would have lasted like 3 people long.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dudes have to give birth. Yeah,
right. We're out of here. So a huge shout out to all those powerful and awesome women in our lives. And I need to go upstairs and give Allie a hug and kiss or something, because she's been through a lot for me, I guess. All right, love you, Allie. Moving on to the next story. I just wanted to say, we'll keep an eye on this lawsuit, and it sucks to hear about. And what's also kind of strange is Activision hasn't announced the new Call of Duty, and it's usually has been announced by now. So I don't know if this has anything to do with that or eventually down the road, but waiting to hear about Call of Duty. And I'm also thinking that they're probably paired up with PlayStation again, and that's probably why they're waiting to do some event with them.
And I do have one other thing to say. I'm proud of us through you, Dan, I guess, from the standpoint that, like, it is important to wait till you get a little bit more facts before making some widespread judgments on things. Obviously, you hope that some of the things that you've read aren't as true or something, but it's nice to kind of be like, I don't have to have an opinion or hate X, Y, and Z yet because I haven't seen any facts. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I think that's often forgotten about. And then you'll see the opposite effect on Twitter being like, oh, we should lay it on Activision. Maybe these people are innocent. So we'll keep our eye on that. Let's move on to the next story. This is from Raphael Lacoste. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's probably French. Good morning, all. This is from his Twitter. It is not without emotion. I have to tell you that after 8 Assassins, 16 years at Ubisoft, I have decided to set sails on new adventures and challenges. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart our wonderful community and the incredible talents that I've had the chance to collaborate with over these amazing years. Thank you to Ubisoft for your trust and fantastic projects as we brought to life together. Bye for now. These years will remain unforgettable. Ubisoft has been a nice home for me for 16 years, and I'm very touched about this, the trust they gave me as well as the opportunities, but it was time to do another leap of faith. So Raphael Lacoste, it was...
That was a nice reference there, the leap of faith.
Yes,
just want to throw that out.
Yes, Assassin's Creed, yes. He was the art director over there for Assassin's Creed. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. So like we mentioned last week, or maybe previous weeks, Ubisoft is going through some changes. A lot of people are leaving Assassin's Creed, possibly going to the live service games. This guy has clearly been instrumental to the franchise for many, many years. Chance, does it concern you with all of these people leaving, and particularly this art director leaving? Does this just reaffirm your thoughts on where Assassin's Creed is heading?
Yeah, in terms of concern, no, because like I said, I'm not planning to keep riding that wave. I think nothing's ever going to last forever, right? So it was time. Like, dang, that guy was there for 16 years working on nothing but one video game over and over. How many people last 16 months in the jobs that they do, let alone 16 years? And so I don't think it's ever bad to have a little bit of a fresh perspective. It might not be what I am looking for, but that doesn't have to mean it's a bad thing.
Jose, do you think this was related to this mass exodus at Ubisoft, or do you think this guy genuinely just wanted to change? Or do you think he would still be there potentially?
I mean, I don't know why it couldn't be both. I think Chance said it really well. Is just because he's leaving doesn't mean that it's on bad terms, and that maybe honestly after 16 years you do want to do something else. I mean, maybe not. I mean, maybe it is the unfortunate scenario that he was like, I want to do this, and they said no, and he said, okay, I'm going to bounce. I mean, I'm sure he'll land on his feet. I wish, of course, the best for him. But I also think of it just to draw a parallel here. So like. I know I bring a lot of things back to Apple, one of my favorite companies, but like when Steve Jobs passed away, a lot of people thought Apple was just going to like tank and it was the end of the company. And then Tim Cook takes over and
has done
he's doing great things. He's done amazing things. The AirPods, the HomePods, the M1 chip, I could go on for days. But
here we go, guys.
But the point of the story is that simply, it's just a change. I'm with Chance in the sense that like I'm ready to take a break from Assassin's Creed, but that doesn't mean they're going to be bad games. It doesn't mean that they're doomed to fail. Like I am not the end all be all decision of that, and maybe it will be great. I mean, maybe it'll be so good that I'll be like, actually, I kind of want to check it out. I guess we'll see what they do, and at the very least, I think of it also as a hopeful place for maybe someone else to step up, right? So maybe someone who's been there only 2 years, 3 years, or maybe only 2-3 months to say like, I want that job. I'm going to work for it, and here are my ideas, and maybe they're great. So that's maybe the optimistic outlook as well.
Nice. Very, very nice thoughts there. And I do want to say that, no, Apple has not been as amazing as you say they are after Tim Cook has took over, but we can talk about that another time.
You want to see their stock price right now?
Oh gosh, it's not because of him. Let's move on. I do want to say on the note of Assassin's Creed, I'm probably going to buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And as much as I hate to say that, because how many hours did I just do nothing in Odyssey?
You can just borrow my copy. I have the hard copy.
I didn't know that. Well,
I'm not playing it anytime soon.
Maybe I will do that. I kind of got an itch to play Assassin's Creed. So I'm happy though that I was kind of concerned. I'm like, I'm going to have to beat this because there's going to be a new one soon. But with all the talk about it not being a while, maybe I can just continue to wait and take my time. And when I really get that Assassin's Creed itch, I can play Valhalla, and then down the road, I'll have a new experience. So I like what Jose said. Maybe this will bring something new and more positive. But sticking with Ubisoft, I'm so sorry, guys. I want to be positive, but we gotta call them out, when things aren't as good. So in case you missed it, and this is from our old friend Nibel over on Twitter, July 21st, he tweeted, Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, which launched on mobile last August, will shut down this October. And this is I don't even know what this game is. It looks like Tom Clancy's X Defiant, just a smorgasbord of random Tom Clancy IP shoved into a game, it's being shut down in about a year. So
There's about
what
13 people that are real upset right now.
what is going on at Ubisoft, you guys? Again, had any of you heard of this game before?
Nope. I've never even seen a preview for it.
I remember hearing about this last year because it had Sam Fisher in it from Splinter Cell. That's it. Again, Ubisoft refuses to make a Splinter Cell game, but use him in everything else but an actual Splinter Cell game. Again, I'm so sorry, Ubisoft. Maybe you'll prove me wrong, but what are you guys doing? What is X Defiant? By the way, have you heard reactions to X Defiant? It's not good across the board. Like everything I've listened to, other podcasts, other people are like, what are you guys doing? Even McCaffrey and Destin over on Unlocked were like, this is not what anybody is asking for. You guys are trying to cling on to something, like, again, trying to catch a wave when it's already passed or something. Like it doesn't make any sense. Chance, come on, here. I got to hear what you have to say about this random game closure. And
Yeah, I just, okay. I really don't know what to say. The older I get and the more I learn about how some things in the business world work, I have to imagine, and I hope this isn't the case, but there is some petty grudge that somebody with a lot of power and a lot of ego really high up is just like, Sam Fisher, nah, right? And like just does not want to see that man grace his own game again. I truly believe that, because otherwise, what the hell are they thinking?
Jose, do you have any thoughts on this closure of another game that you haven't heard
I
of?
mean,
and remember, what was the other one we talked about last? Hyperscape? Like, what are they doing?
Hyperscape. Still, I didn't even look that up. I didn't care to afterwards. So I was trying to make sense of this in terms of like, so what is going on? Like, and I like Chance's theory. I think that's not a bad theory, that someone just has it in for Sam Fisher, or maybe it's an IP that's protected somewhere, like, and the person who owns it is not allowing it. I mean, that's always a possibility. The other reason, though, I was just trying to think about like why the X, what's it called? X Defiant. I didn't even know what it's called, and I signed up for the beta. Thanks, guys. Was because it has to do with the economics of it, right? So like even if it's not a great battle royale system, and I know it's not even supposed to be a battle royale, but it's trying to ride that wave, the wave of Fortnite and PUBG,
hero shooter,
and
hero
Warzone. But that's what they're calling it. But what they want is the same kind of crowd. It's the microtransaction argument again. That's what it is. That they. What's up, Cora?
Hi, Cora. Shout out to Cora, fan of the show.
Shout out to Cora.
Hi, Cora. Hi.
They're just trying to capitalize on the money, right? Even if they can only get 1 million people to subscribe, and even if only half of those people spend, let's say, $1 on some DLC or content, that's still $500,000, right? And as unfortunate as that sounds, maybe that's enough for what that they need to make this worth it. Even though it's not going to go down in the annals of history as a great game, it's not going to have a sequel. Like, they're just looking for money. And I mean, maybe it is an Ubisoft thing overall, but remember, Ubisoft's a huge company. I mean, it's not something where like one dude is making the decision, all these games and all the directions. It's a president and then these 10 other department heads, and each of them have people below them. I mean, it's a huge beast that you can't control. You know what I mean? Like, it's
what, Jose, you know what would make them even more money? A Splinter Cell game. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, exactly. Clearly, this mobile game didn't make them anything since they're shutting it down. Like you said, oh, well, maybe if some people play it. If you're shutting down a game in less than a year, clearly that isn't profitable and making
it's not a great trend.
And Hyperscape, supposedly I heard that that's still going on and they're in like season 3. God bless those people, the 100 people who are still playing that. And I'm just letting you guys know, X Defiant is not going to be the answer. So Ubisoft, please make Tom Clancy games that people like. I know the landscape of gaming is changing. We're going live service, microtransactions. Figure out a way to do that in the IPs that people care about, but you have to make your game that people want to play first. You can't just put some stuff together with your IP and put it out there and expect people to play it just because it's Tom Clancy. It's not going to happen. We'll see what happens with X Defiant. Shout out to Chipotle Bear for signing up for the beta, because Lord knows I will not touch that. Moving on to our next news. We had the big EA whatever EA Play event that was on the 22nd. Unfortunately, my prediction on Mass Effect multiplayer coming to the Legendary Edition did not happen. That makes me very sad, Jose, because I really wanted that, and Chance knows. So I loved their multiplayer. I'm still sad. I don't know why they couldn't have put that in the game. It's speaking of EA, tying it back, Ubisoft used to be this awesome company. I always play their games. I thought they could make all the right decisions. Now and remember, everyone hated on EA. I feel like it's shifting, you guys. I feel like EA is making the right decisions lately with the Dead Space announcement, with Battlefield going back to how it was, with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition going back to Mass Effect. Like, I feel like they've learned from their. It's kind of similar to the Xbox One and how horrible that launched, and now where they are in a position now. I think they're ahead of the curve. Again, the more I think about Game Pass and all the services they're giving out, Xbox is ahead of the curve, Jose. We talked about this before. So
yeah, absolutely.
Moving back to EA, you guys are killing it lately. I still hate you guys for the Madden Ultimate Team and not having franchise co-op of Madden and FIFA, but whatever. That's how you guys make billions and billions and billions of dollars. So I guess until dumb gamers like us stop buying it, well, not us, but you know what I meant, buy the Ultimate Team. So Nibel over on Twitter, this is about Battlefield Portal, and this was kind of like the big announcement was in it. I don't know if this is, I guess this is tied into Battlefield 2042. Basically, Battlefield Portal includes these maps at launch. There's Battle of the Bulge and El Alamein from 1942. From Bad Company 2, there's Arica Harbor, one of my all-time favorite maps. And Valparaiso, I don't remember that, but I'm sure I would if I played it. Battlefield 3 is Caspian Border and the Nahshar Canals. And basically, these are... Sorry, how do you pronounce it? Noshar?
It's Valparaiso is the first one.
Valparaiso?
And Alemán, which is German and Spanish. And Caspian Border. And the Nasher Canals? Like, that one's not even that hard. It just has an extra H.
Anyway, these are old maps from some of the favorite Battlefield franchises, which you will be able to play in Battlefield 2042 and customize and do whatever you want with it. It was a cool trailer where they had one team with knives, one team with defibrillators. Basically, they're like, hey, you remember nostalgia? We bet you do. We love Battlefield nostalgia. Here's some favorite maps that you get to do, and you'll be able to play these at launch. I'm sure they'll contribute to them. I think this is really cool. It's kind of similar to what Halo does, bringing back some of the classic maps and allowing you to play them in a new, reimagined way. This is going to bring back some Battlefield member berries for me, you guys. I cannot wait. Battlefield continues to look amazing. But again, I'm still concerned because the last time
we're going to get diced.
That we're going to get diced. I have a bad feeling that we're all going to get diced. So, Jose, tell me what you're thinking about this Battlefield Portal.
Well, I have a question, and I just saw the release trailer and a little bit on it. I didn't dig in probably as much as I should have. Is this? I know this is part of Battlefield 2042, but is this also in the multiplayer, or is this like a separate game within the multiplayer? Like, that's what I was trying to figure out, because at first I was like, oh, they're just old maps, and I was like, cool. But then they were also talking about, like you said, the defibrillators and the knives was a great example. Is it like where you're choosing the settings, or you're saying like, I want to play this map and I want this weapon type? Because then I was concerned about, like, well, what if I chose something so specific? How would I get enough players to play my game that I haven't coordinated myself?
Yeah,
that's why. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think what this is going to be like, it's going to be its own separate mode of multiplayer within 2042. If you want to play the traditional Rush, Conquest, whatever modes, that'll be focused on the 2042 maps. But if you want to do your own stuff and play in custom servers, which is, I'm guessing, what they're going to do, that's where Battlefield Portal will come in. And that's what we would do. I don't know if you remember this in Battlefield 3 or 4. I can't remember. But basically, we would join like these servers that we would save. And there, I can't remember. Miggy, shout out to Miggy. He would remember... Gosh, these specific guys, I think I want to say Mon or Rons or something, Izons, or they had this server we'd go to because they had a great selection of rush maps and modes, and we would just join their server to get in because we knew that they were going to be great games. So I'm thinking that's what this is going to be. You're going to have to rent your server, or they'll allow people to rent it, and then it'll be custom game types and modes with these selected maps and stuff like that. So does that answer your question?
I think it does. Thank you. I think it's going to be awesome. The nostalgia is great. I love that they're kind of remembering their roots, like you said, the member berries. That's a great way to put it. I'll be honest though, I don't know how much we'll actually play it. Like maybe we will a lot. I mean, I definitely want to play some Bad Code 2 maps.
Dude,
I don't know how,
I
but
think you're.
but I want to play Conquest and Rush on those maps.
Yes.
I don't want to play
Well,
like
here's the beauty.
Defibs versus Knives.
If we,
So I guess that's the piece that I want to see in action.
you can contribute to the XRT official server, and I'll rent out a server, and we'll build our own modes, and then we can throw in the maps that we want and the game modes we want, and then people will join.
that's
If you
dope.
do certain modes, like because not everybody wants to dish out the money to rent a server, so if they see something they're like, oh man, Rush, these maps, heck yeah, I want to join. So, Chance, do you have any thoughts on the old Portal?
Yeah, I can remember paying money to have a server that we did one time, and I can remember it was just like my turn to spend $10 on it for the 2 weeks or whatever it was. But it was constant. That is exactly what we were looking for to play. I can remember just being blown away by how cool that was. And again, now that we talk about this so often, now that money isn't necessarily the issue, it's more about time. It's like, hell yeah, I'll spend an extra $10 and play exactly what I want to play for the 2 hours rather than spending an hour and a half like waiting for the right thing to pop up. I love it.
And I think what's super rad about it is the cross-platform aspect, especially if it works in the Portal 2. It'll be so sick because our entire friend group, it doesn't matter if you're PS5, PC Master Race, or Xbox, we could all still play together on our custom games. We give Miggy the control because honestly, he's the one who could probably create the best maps and games because he's played literally all of them.
Yeah, that's actually.
So I think it's rad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a really good point. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about players with crossplay. Like, that shouldn't be an issue anymore. And I'm not sure if they're gonna do PC with Xbox or with consoles, I should say. But if Xbox and PS5 players are together, then we shouldn't have any issues with players. So, Battlefield continues to impress me, but I'm still hesitant from being diced the last few games. And you guys know that nobody's a bigger Battlefield fan than me at times. I was all in. Battlefield Bad Company 2 might be my number one multiplayer game. I had some serious memories.
So much fun, man.
So much. We played that so much. And so I love Battlefield. I'm super excited. I still haven't pre-ordered it. I'm going to, but we'll see.
What's the release? 11/11? Is that the release date?
I don't know.
It's November, right?
Though I thought it was October. Actually, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. But I mean, moving on more from the EA Play, the other big story, and this is specifically dedicated to Chipotle. Well, I mean, I love this game too, but Chipotle Bear. This is coming from our friend Shinobi. Shout out to Shinobi. Hopefully, we'll have you on the show sometime. Obviously, coming from the EA Play conference, Dead Space remake is officially announced. Everything completely rebuilt in Frostbite visuals, 3D audio, gameplay, animations. No load screens. They want to remain as faithful to the original as possible. Enhancements to limb dismemberment. No MTX, not sure what that is. And so Dead Space has officially been announced. We talked about it before with the rumor. Jose, tell me what you're thinking about the new Dead Space.
So, quick aside, October 22nd, Battlefield. Just throwing that out for our listeners in case you want to pre-order. No, I'm actually back to Dead Space. I am so pumped, man. I mean, obviously we heard the rumors. It's the more rumors you hear, the more likely it's going to come. So it wasn't like a complete shock out of nowhere that we were going to get Dead Space. But the response and release was incredible, and even the trailer, even though it was literally like 15 seconds and you really didn't get to see anything, a little bit of obviously their lighting work and that kind of stuff. I got the chills. I was so excited, man. And I think also what I really love, a couple of things were, it's definitely not the whole series. So they're not pulling a Mass Effect where they're releasing all three at once and saying, have so much fun, just an homage to everything we remember. They're doing it one by one. And they're really putting the time into I watched an interview from one of the developers, the head developers, and he said, look, we have all the old models of all the characters and items and guns. He goes, we're not just taking those and retexturing them, adding more polygons. He goes, we are literally rebuilding them from the ground up in the Frostbite engine, which is the same engine that they use in like Battlefield 3 and 4, which is a great engine. And he said, we really want it to be an immersive experience. I love the no load screens, because he even said in the interview, like, I literally want this to be a game where if you had the time, you'd be so engrossed that you don't want to put it down. So there's never a time where it pauses and you're like, okay, I can leave and go get dinner. Like, you just want to play all the way through. Obviously he talked about trying to keep the level of gore basically where it's at, and make it just a really exciting adventure again, like feel like it's new, even though obviously they're keeping most of the same story. But the other piece of it that I thought was interesting, for those that obviously didn't see that interview, was he actually said that they are going to try to really work with fans as they redevelop 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know what that means, but what it sounds like they're talking about is trying to include possible small changes here and there. You know what I'm saying, with the game, to make it more engaging, that kind of stuff. So I got really excited. Dan, what do you got?
I was just gonna say, yeah, they're gonna cancel out 3 because that was not a good game, and they're gonna completely redo
Maybe
it.
they'll make it.
Maybe
They'll make
parts
it
of
better.
2. 1 is the best, hands down. 1's the best.
It is.
2 is.
It is.
Some people think 2's their favorite. 1's better. 2 was, you could see them leaning more towards the action versus the survival horror, which was 1. Bubble Boy, what do you think? First of all, which one's your favorite? And
1.
Okay.
1, and I'm so excited by everything about this, and like true announcement now, because I would have been not bummed if it was 1, 2, and 3 all together, but I know myself, and I would have played 1, 2, and 3 all in one sitting, right? Like, I would have wanted to finish all of them, and I'm really glad it's just 1, so I can pick up 1, have an amazing time with it, and then be done. I probably would skip 2 and 3. MTX, by the way, is microtransactions. That's abbreviation for microtransactions. So we've talked about our feelings on those, so don't need to rehash that, but I'm sure some people are excited that won't happen. This is exactly what I want in a remake, right? Like, everything completely rebuilt in Frostbite. Like Jose said, no load screens. Can't wait. Going to be amazing.
It might be depending on when it comes out, because that was the big thing. There's no release date, and they've a lot of people asked. They said, we're not sure yet. So it doesn't sound like it's anytime real soon, probably at least 2022. It might be something that forces me to get an OLED, because just like looking at some of the blacks they're going to have in the game and
That
the lighting,
shadow
is just
detail,
going to be,
the OLEDs.
it looks real crispy. So I don't know, man. So I'm excited. Or I'm just going to go. I'm going to buy a ticket for Chance and his wife to go to Mexico, and I'm just going to go play at his house for like a week while he's
Speaking of OLEDs, Jose, I did see at the Costco by us a 65-inch for $15.99. Their display model.
Oh,
so
God, don't tell
it
me
still
that.
comes with a warranty, by the way. So just throwing it out there, 65-inch, $1,500. That's, I was like, ooh. It was tempting.
That's real tempting, right there.
Yeah, so I'm excited for Dead Space. You guys knocked it out of the park with that. Basically, this is a Resident Evil 2 situation where they're going to remake it, and hopefully it's going to be just as amazing. So Resident Evil 3 is on sale. I'm still debating whether or not I should buy it. You guys, did you both play it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
It was dope, dude. It was really
Is it
good.
worth $20?
Oh, $20, absolutely worth it for $20.
And you'll love it because it is short and sweet.
All right. So
fun,
that
dude.
ties into the next story I was just going to briefly say, is that the Ultimate Game Sale is back, and this is through August 5th. So if you guys are listening, there's a bunch of sweet deals. I'm torn between getting AC Valhalla Gold Edition for $50, or the base game at $30, or getting Resident Evil 3 is the other one. But just wanted to do that little announcement that the game sale is going on. And before we hit our final story here, I guess it's not really a story. Well, yeah, it is. So before we go into the final story, I just wanted to say there have also been a lot of previews for Psychonauts 2, and I specifically have been avoiding them because I'm already all in and excited for this game. And from what I've heard from people, as soon as they start talking about it, they're like, guys, this is like really, really, really phenomenal, and it's going to be a Game of the Year contender. And so after I hear that, I'm like, all right, I'm going to skip this section of the podcast or news story or a Twitter. I don't want to hear any more about Psychonauts. I'm already all in. I'm super excited for this. I didn't play the first. I might.
Are you
going
to go back and play it? It's on the Game Pass right now.
Time. I know, it's all about the time, dude. There's some.
It would be a good xCloud one though, because it's not. It would run really well on a phone. It would be fine.
No, I think I'm just gonna jump into 2, and then if I love 2, I'll go back. How about that? We'll get into why. There's just too many games. So that's the first thing I just wanted to mention. Psychonauts 2 is getting awesome preview coverage, positive reviews on that. And then the other thing was that the MPD for June was out, and Xbox was the best selling console money wise, not units sold. So again, we've already kind of discussed that we don't really care how many Xboxes are sold. Xbox, that's nice and great for them, and it's cool to see them finally being on top for once, because they probably haven't been for a decade now since the Xbox One launched. So that's cool and all, but Microsoft wants you to get into Game Pass, and I love Game Pass. And speaking of Game Pass, the last story, and I don't even know if this is really a story, but I noticed it today. I think, yeah. So Phil Spencer tweeted this 8 hours ago, and this isn't on your notes, you guys, but not necessarily a news story, but I just wanted to close with this. So Phil Spencer tweeted this. He said, the upcoming month of Game Pass looks great. Love the diversity of games coming to both Xbox game studios and partners. Have fun playing. And I just wanted to shout out to Phil Spencer, fan of the show. Guys, so just in basically this month, these games will have come to Game Pass, or to Xbox in general. So not Game Pass, but a console exclusive and on PC as well was Death's Door, which I'm super excited. I bought that. I didn't even mention that earlier. I forgot to. I bought Death's Door, which is getting phenomenal reviews as well. Kind of like a Zelda, old, like a little indie game. Have you guys seen anything about Death's Door? Oh my gosh, go look it up. Go look reviews right now. It's getting phenomenal reviews. I heard about it on Kind of Funny Xcast like a week or two ago. They had the developers on, and just the way they're describing it, how it's like Zelda meets guys, just go watch a preview or a review or a trailer. I bought it. I pre-ordered it after hearing that interview. It's getting rave reviews. Death's Door. So that came out. Okay. Then we've got on July 27th, we have Flight Simulator coming out to Game Pass and cloud and PC. These are all Game Pass games. All cloud, PC, and console. The Ascent, which I'm super excited about, which I wouldn't have played. It comes out July 29th if it wasn't on Game Pass. Then,
are we going to, real quick, are we going to do an XRT plays?
We should do
the
something.
Three of us play together?
Yes, if we can get that together.
We need to try and carve out some time for that, yeah.
I agree. And then we have Hades coming out August 13th, which I haven't played, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about that. Then we have 12 Minutes, August 19th, which I'm super pumped about. And then August 25th, we have Psychonauts. So we've got 5 games coming to Xbox, 4 of them being on Game Pass, that are all, most of these have all gotten, like Hades was a Game of the Year contender. Psychonauts is getting amazing reviews. 12 Minutes has a lot of hype behind it. Flight Simulator was a 10 out of 10 on PC and Game Pass, or on PC last year. And people are really excited for The Ascent. These are 5 crazy games, you guys, in the next month. So that goes back to, should I really buy anything at that game sale? Probably not, because I've got all these games.
Save those ducats.
I know everyone loves to crap on Xbox and caca on them and be super negative. Oh, they don't have any good games. Where are the games? Look at these games that are coming out in a month. And we still have Halo Infinite and Forza later this year. Like, that's crazy. And Battlefield, and not to mention, whatever third-party games are coming out. This is crazy, you guys. First of all, if you don't have Game Pass, you're crazy. And second of all, Chance, what are your thoughts on these freaking games coming
out in unbelievable. I know, unbelievable. I don't know how we're gonna fit it all in. It'll be a new kind of challenge, right? Of picking this up and then switching to that, and it's just unbelievable. And of course, I'll be trying Hades again. I think, right? I say, of course, that might be one that I actually kind of, I don't want to say skip, but put onto the backlog.
To be fair,
just because
you beat it on Switch.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. And I would love to play it again. It's absolutely worth my time to play it again. I just, considering when you look at that lineup, I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to squeeze it in. And since I bought the definitive trilogy for Tomb Raider, I don't know when I'm going to. You guys have to, and I'm sorry that you have to, but not sorry. Man, how do you get a better deal?
Yeah, I'm looking at this like August 13th, like week away. Like, there are 3 amazing.
And also, let's not just forget that. Also, that's when school starts. All of us as educators, like, we just totally forgot about that part of our life.
That's true. Jose, what do you think about the incredible value that Game Pass is giving us right now?
I think I'm never going to get to Cyberpunk. That's literally what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, I said that
money. I got it for Christmas last year. Literally, it's still in the box with stickers and stuff in it. Those stickers are not going to be a work
Here's
by
the
the time I get to it.
positive thing about that, Jose, is this is good because you can wait until next, who knows what's coming out in 2022, but you can wait until maybe April time. Hopefully they'll have the next gen patch where it's native on Series X out by then, and then that's when you can. I still haven't played it either, and I'd like to.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting
You're right.
for the next.
You're probably right.
But anyway, back to, isn't this crazy value? Crazy.
It's incredible. And here, if I'm being super honest for the listeners out there, what will happen is definitely we'll play Ascent. Definitely will play Hades. That's like right up my alley as well. Flight Simulator, I definitely will play, but I'll be super honest. It'll probably be the least amount of play, which is ironic because it's also the biggest download and will take so long to get installed.
No. Did you look at? It's only like 46 gigs. As long as you have it connected to online, it streams a bunch of data. So it's, I was pumped. I was like, oh, is this going to be a huge, if you do the online and offline mode, it's like 100 gigs. But if you don't have to download the offline mode and you just have the online version of it, it's only 46 gigs. So yeah. So just heads up.
I mean, I'll do a couple flights. Definitely want to fly around Colorado, Red Rocks, couple, places I've been in my travels. But after that, like I'm not looking to fly in a bunch of different planes and scenarios and weather and stuff. I'm like afraid of flying. I'm afraid of heights. So that's out. But no, dude, it's incredible, dude. I mean, it's so awesome that like literally every time I sit down, even if I get bored of a game, not that I'm planning on that, but it's not like it's like, oh, what a waste of time or money. I spent all this money to get this game. It's like, oh, next one. You know what I mean? Just like that's an incredible feeling. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. And I wanted to go off what Chance and you guys have been saying is, you're right. I probably will play Flight Simulator the least, but I do want to play it, and it'll be on my Xbox, just something to escape. And like you said, I want to fly over like specific areas in the game, obviously. But I haven't played Hades, so I'm excited for that. And I will play the Ascent. I'd like to play it with you guys, but of course we all game at different times, and Chance goes to bed at like 5 o'clock. So, and then
he's been sleeping for 2 hours at this
yeah,
point.
he had to get up to record the show, and then the 12 minutes. And the Psychonauts, I can't wait. And what I appreciate about most of these, I'm hoping, is that they're smaller sized games. And as we get older with more responsibilities, more kids, I am in love with these shorter 10 to 15 hour experiences. Why am I thinking about getting Valhalla when I know that's going to be a 100-hour game? So
just borrow my copy. I told you.
Shout out.
But on that point, I think
man.
what's also so cool about that too is that we've talked about a little bit is the cloud gaming, because part of the problem we have with games is literally they're at home, right? They're at my home TV. And so like, if you have to stay late for work, if you're taking kids somewhere, if you have, to be somewhere, you lose micro amounts of time that add up to a significant amount of time. I think it's super dope that, assuming the cloud starts to work really well, that I could like take a controller in my bag to work. And if I'm stuck there for 2 hours before a basketball game, I can be like, an hour of work, and then I'm going to squeeze in some time to jump on something like Hades, right? Like that is, oh my God, like it is just an incredible feeling to think that will work. And I'm all about it.
Yeah. So shout out to Game Pass again. What a value. And I remember I was just listening. I wanted to say this too. I was listening to Defining Duke and Lord Cog, shout out to Cognito, and Master Matty Plays were talking about it. And there's a writing question about how people are concerned, like, well, is this sustainable? Can Microsoft afford to do Game Pass? And Cog said this great point, and he's like, and even if it does fail, who cares? Because we can enjoy it right now. Like, there is no negative to us enjoying and benefiting Game Pass for as long as we can now, because it is an incredible value. And let's say it does fail a year from now, who cares? We got to enjoy all these amazing games for a stupid price. So shout out to Cog. That was an awesome thought. I'm like, you're right. Who cares? We are benefiting regardless, because
I mean, even if it shuts down
Microsoft, yeah,
like by Christmas, imagine how much we'll be like, God, do you remember that like 2 years of Game Pass was magical time?
Amazing.
But the other part of that, the flip side of that coin is, it's not crazy. I'm sure they're making money. Like, everybody thought Netflix was a joke and that they were never going to make money. Everybody thought that iTunes was ridiculous, $1 per song. Like, all these examples where people were like, this is ridiculous, it's not sustainable, they're never going to make money. And they now are all over our lives. Like, I can't see why this wouldn't be any different, truly.
And again, like, I want to go into a deep dive into Game Pass when there's a slow week, but who knows? With all these games coming out, I don't know if we're going to get to it. But another point is Game Pass is a driver for people. They have statistics on people play more games, people buy more games, and people buy games on Game Pass. Like, I bought Control even though it was on Game Pass. People buy games are like, oh, well, I want to own my games. What is stopping you from playing the game on Game Pass? And if you love it so much, from then buying it, and you get it at a discount? or it's coming off of Game Pass. If you really love a game, you still have the option to buy it. Like, I think people do spend more money buying games and playing games, and I'm an example of it, and I don't even play them as many games as other people. Chance, go ahead.
Yep. No, that's entirely true. And I'm thinking, like, again, anything that helps widen the spectrum of people and access to the medium that we all love here, like, how is that a bad thing? And now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm sure there's at least one or two, who do we know that doesn't have Game Pass?
My brother.
Do
Tony.
we?
I was going to say, absolutely was going to get, he doesn't.
He's
Goose, maybe? I don't know if Goose does. I hope he does.
I hope he does.
No, I think he does, because whenever we're like, hey, you got to check this out, he's like, downloading now.
Dude, I bet some of the F boys don't have it. I just don't know.
Game Pass it is the best $15 I don't spend every. I mean, I have.
Yeah, exactly.
I stacked them however many years ago.
Exactly.
But
We even stacked it through. And even I was thinking, even when that expires, again, I want to go into the math of this. It's still worth the $15 a month. Well, okay, we're gonna do a Game Pass.
The math is so simple. The math is simple.
You buy
two
two
games a
games.
year. If you buy more than 2 video games in a full calendar year, Game Pass is worth. That's just the
Forza,
easiest math
I would
you
buy
can do.
Forza Horizon and Halo alone, right there.
Just there.
Right there. That's
For me, Dead Space and Halo, and easily, and there's way more than that I'd buy.
And we're all skipping Battlefield in this fake world.
well, yeah, but I'm just saying those are specific games that are going to be on Game Pass, like day one. Like they have to be day one releases. But we'll talk about this. Maybe we'll do this next week, and maybe hopefully we'll have a slow news week. I want to talk about Game Pass next week. So let's move on. Great discussions there, boys. To the good old days, our favorite segment. Well, one of our favorite segments. This
our
is
listeners' favorite segment.
Siaka's favorite segment. And this week we've got Bubble Boy N7 bringing in his memories. Let's hear it, N7.
Yeah, so I had been thinking about and wanted to talk a little bit more about game guides and where everybody is on using guides for your games. I know we talked a little bit about like the invincibility and stuff, but it made me harken back to the good old days because I can remember playing Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 when I would get stuck and I'd be like, I have to wait till I go to school tomorrow to talk to Ryan Reynolds. You guys, shout out to Ryan Reynolds. Lived on Alkire with us.
Ryan.
Yep, I'd be like, I can't wait, and we gotta when we walk to school together, I'd be like, but how did you get over this, and what did you do, and it was just magical, and I'll never forget one time. My older brother Chase being like, well, why don't you just call him instead of just putting
You have his number?
Yeah, it was like that. I was like, oh my God. And the other thing that I did with game guides that I can remember was asking my dad, will you print off this one paragraph when you go to work, right? Because big time Visa bucks, they can afford to print off
paper and ink.
Yeah, how to take Lara Croft across this dragon bridge or something, and that I would just be, when's Dad gonna get home? When's he gonna get home? This is gonna be great. Oh my God! And if because I probably asked him like 7 different times, he'd be like, "Is there not just can I do the whole thing at once or something? Like, what is this or?" Do you is it that hard? Do you really need someone to tell you how to play this game? You jump and you shoot, and again, just not a thing anymore these days, right? You click it on your phone.
It's still evolved, yeah.
But I'm saying it's all right there, right? There is no. You could go and you could figure out how to get 1,000 out of 1,000. Not that you could necessarily do it, or you could learn the thing to every puzzle. Most games, or there was even a time where you had to kind of wait for some of the guides to come out, right? Because you're like, oh, I might be further ahead than this person. But now the game drops, and so do all the guides, and so do all the answers to the puzzles and stuff. And so
the good old days of paper guides. I was going to ask you, Chance, what did you buy? Like, you didn't even mention any of the guides. What are some of the guides that stand out that you remember buying?
I
did. You just went through it methodically.
Final Fantasy VII absolutely was one that I bought, and then
that was the one I wrote down too.
Yep, and then I bought 10. 11 wasn't a thing, right? Yeah, so I bought 10, 12, and 13. All the guides.
You were
for 13.
a guide nerd, all right?
Yeah, didn't you get 10-2 as well?
10-2. Yeah, 10-2. And I remember it was 13. It had to have been. Maybe Chapo, look this up while I'm saying this. Which Final Fantasy was released in 2010? Because I brought it
Maybe
to
12.
ACT proctoring, and I sat in your room, your old classroom.
It was
doing
14.
It was 14?
Yeah.
No, 14 wasn't. That was like the MMO one.
It says 2010 video
It
game.
must have been
What
Final
about-
Fantasy 13. Then it's the only one I can think of.
It had to be 13 before it then.
Yeah, because
or
there's
13.2 maybe. I don't know. But
12
either
was
way,
2006.
because I brought it. Oh yeah, I was okay. I brought it and sitting in Chapeau's classroom, Proctor and ACT,
Yep.
reading up on that. And then the last one I ever bought was Skyrim.
Dude, that's Chance. I'm impressed. You were a serious guides man. I'm gonna go next because I'm short. I can't even
Please
think of one guide that I legitimately purchased. Maybe a Final Fantasy. Maybe Final Fantasy 8 is what I'm thinking because I was all in with Final Fantasy. I loved it. I got the best sword. I got Zell's best weapon, his best limit break. Like I was all in. And shout out to Me Soo Pwny, even though he doesn't listen to this. He replayed 8 and he's like, Daniel, I was wrong. I need to give 8 more credit. That game is better than I remember. And a lot of people talk bad about it. And he's like, I was wrong. I was one of those. Final Fantasy 8 is a much better game than I remember. So shout out to Final Fantasy 8 and my brother. And so I'm not a diehard guide like you were apparently, but a funny story I would like to share about guides is Me Soo Pwny he still buys old guides and gives them to you as jokes for birthdays for some reason, even though I don't know why, because it's a joke. But
It's hilarious.
Yeah, he did buy the guide to Elder Scrolls 4. Is that Oblivion? So Oblivion, and he was so sucked into that game, you guys. I remember we bought Matthew his 360 and Oblivion as his gift. And I think he was in high school at the time. And that's when I played it. And I never played it before. I was like, holy crap, this game is incredible. I went and bought it right after I left his house because just playing with him when he opened his Xbox. And he was so sucked into that guide, you guys. And now I'm thinking about it. The guide that he uses the most, he's still using today when he plays it is Elder Scrolls, whatever, Morrowind. He's playing Morrowind and he bought out the guide. He's got, he's got his little pieces of paper in there marking all his important information there. So shout out to Me Soo Pwny. He bought the Elder Scroll. I don't even know. Is that 3? The Morrowind guide.
Morrowind was 3.
He is using that actively today in 2021. That's what Me Soo Pwny would rather play than any games on Game Pass is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind on Xbox backwards compatibility, OG Xbox through his Series X. That's what he's using his Xbox for these days. So
Really putting all that power to use.
Isn't that why you also didn't graduate from high school?
Oh yeah, dude, college, it's Skyrim. But no, what's funny
Just
though
joking,
too
buddy.
is that I've lost my train of thought about Pwny. I'll when I remember. Jose, go ahead, share your guide thoughts.
A couple of quick thoughts, but just to shout, also Final Fantasy VII was one of the major ones I remember buying because at the time, again, just a little quick history there. It was one of the few games for PlayStation 1 that was a 2-disc game. And I remember it was like a 12 years in the making or something like that. Or was it 3 discs? Yeah, it was many discs to play this game. And so I remember when they said there was a guide, I was like, well, I got to get that guide because literally, and in hindsight, it's probably a game we could have probably all figured out without the guide, but just finding all the materia and like you said, the chocobo racing stuff and the weapons and stuff, like it was just, there was so much to it. And it was one of those truly guides where like, I'll admit, I didn't even read through the whole guide. I used it to beat the game, but like Chance, to his credit, literally probably read every paragraph in that entire guide, all the power charts in the back, all the characters. I mean, I know for a fact he read that and I didn't witness it. But quick couple of thoughts about guides that we didn't hit on. A little bit of history, just since you mentioned the classroom. One of the earliest forms of guides that neither of you talked about was Nintendo Power. So Nintendo Power was actually a magazine that existed for like the NES and SNES.
I was too poor to have a subscription to Nintendo
I was
Power,
too.
so.
I didn't have one either, but I think I bought a couple of issues at like Barnes and Noble at some random points because I like, you bought magazines. I thought they were cool. But what was cool in them was usually they had a section to help you beat an NES game. And the one that I remember was Super Mario 3, because I remember seeing where you could see the whole map ahead of time to know which direction you wanted to go. And it would even give you the cheats on, do you remember when you go to Toad's house and you choose one of the chests? It could tell you every chest which one it was. So you could always get like the raccoon feather or whatever it was. So that was a big one. But even before that, what's crazy about guides was games didn't have save states. Like obviously NES, SNES didn't really have that. And so they used codes, right? So like you could jump ahead and like, I think like Mega Man, Aladdin, or games like that, where if you chose the right code, you jump to like level 4 or level 8, that kind of stuff. And so there were obviously early guides on like the internet was used for that kind of stuff, where you just like, you don't have to play the game in theory. Why would you do that? But you could. The other part, guides were expensive. That was one thing that I wanted to mention, that like when you were buying the game that was probably already 50, 60 bucks, a guide was probably like 25 to 30. So that's more than half of the freaking game. And the crazy part was, it was different at the time where we were all playing the same games and games weren't being released as frequently, right? Like in the Game Pass days, there's just so much to play. We're never playing the same stuff at the same time. But back in the day, there were periods of time, like Chance said, where like everyone was playing Tomb Raider 2. Everyone was playing Twisted Metal. Everyone was playing Final Fantasy 7. And so you could share guides. Nowadays, if you buy guides, because they still make them for some games, what do you do when you're done? You give them to Pony to give away as gifts, apparently.
Yeah, you find them at the Ark and stuff like that's where you get.
Well,
you get them at Goodwill.
As we're
stores.
talking about it, it reminds me I don't have a single one still, and I'm so sad about it because I think you keep them.
Don't worry, Pony will find them for you.
Yeah, please, Pony. When you 17 years from now, when you dust off your whatever gizmo you have to listen to these podcasts for the first time.
Absolutely.
And Chance,
the last thing I just
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jose.
I would say the last thing I just want to mention real quick is about, just for the young people that ever listen to this out there. There was a period of time, like things have evolved pretty significantly with guides, where like a lot of times companies like IGN or other gaming sites actually get access to games ahead of time so that they can build these guides and put them on their sites. There was a time when that didn't happen. Like when IGN was like a fledgling website, they would literally have to play the games the day they came out. And it, like Chance said at one point, it took like literally a week sometimes for the guide to be up on their site. And so I remember that playing games where like you'd get stuck on something and you're like, I'm trying to find the answer. And it just didn't exist anywhere. Unless one of your personal friends had gotten past that point, you couldn't go and find out what that was. You either had to figure it on your own or you had to wait until that guide came out. It's just how things have changed, man. And because I also remember printing out guides, right? Like pages and pages of guides, because I also didn't know how to work a printer, apparently. Just like print page 4, I printed like 17-page documents and stuff. But it's a crazy journey we went through.
Yeah, and I have to say I'm all for how it is now, because it's nice to be able to just go to YouTube and look up. You can just type in a specific random partner level and somebody's got a clip of it. Somebody else got stuck, and it's usually up there fairly quick. So as much as nostalgia the guides bring and how interesting they were back in the day, I am all for how it is now. I appreciate the ease of use. I also think it's really interesting how we did know about those special, where you jump on top and there are the special tubes that you go down at the end of a Mario level, or the flute, and where to get those. And like, I'm curious, like, it was just all word of mouth, like back then.
Did you say flute?
Yeah.
You mean the warp whistle?
Yeah, whatever the heck it is.
It's not a flute, it's
Whatever.
A whistle, you.
Well,
Anyway, but I think it's cool that it evolved. Like somebody had to have found that, or they saw it in Nintendo Power, and then the word of mouth. Like we all knew about these random secrets, even though we weren't like looking them up on YouTube easily today. So I think that's cool. And Chance, by the way, the fact that you bought the guide to Skyrim is incredible, and shout out to that.
Oh, I loved it. And that's the one I'm probably probably Final Fantasy 7 maybe, but I'm sad that I still don't have it. I'm
Wait. Before you even go, why would you need a guide when the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages exist? The UESP.
Stop.
Have you been there? It's incredible. Jose,
I like books.
Pony and I love it.
Who was your Ryan Reynolds? Like, did you have that? He was oh my God. And we would meet him walking to school. It wasn't like Andy or Jason Can, no?
You were mine, Chance. I would have called you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chipo. No,
we were all pretty good gamer. Like I don't think I looked up to somebody where oh no, he's gonna know who it was. And if I had known you, it would have been you. So good thoughts on the good old days, you guys. Shout out again, Pony. Would you listen to the show, because you need to start looking. Actually, I'm gonna clip this. Pony, you need to get Bubble Boy and 7. You need to get Chance his old strategy guide for Skyrim and Final Fantasy 7. If you see any of those copies, please get it.
The
any
Prima
other requests?
Edition.
Okay,
that'll be his best Christmas ever.
Yes.
If you can give that to him, dude.
So shout out to my brother Me Soo Pwny. Please look for these guides for good old Bubble Boy. Guys, let's close the show like we always do with our favorite part of the show. let's talk about the best food we had this week. So who would like to go first? Because I've got a couple of it. I don't have a huge detailed list like I did last week, but I've got a few good items here. So who wants to
I
go?
wanted to go last week and didn't get a chance, so I would like to start
All
this
right,
week.
Bear, you go first. To be fair, I think I did notice that when I was editing the podcast. I was like, well, he could have spoke up, so I guess he didn't want to talk about it. So go ahead.
I don't want to be rude. No, it's been a pretty awesome week this week. Obviously, being back at work, but one other quick thing before I talk about the food, we have new family members this week in our household. We got 2 new fish and a pretty big 36-gallon fish tank, which may not sound pretty big, but it is a big ass tank.
Sounds big and expensive.
And well, it would be if we bought it full price, but we don't do that. We shop on Facebook Marketplace. We picked it up after dinner last night, which Chance will talk about in a little bit. But they're cool. We got 2 of these. They're called Aranda goldfish. They have like big bubbly heads, and we named them Pugsley and Wednesday. So it's a good new addition to our household. Our daughters love them. Anyway, talking about food, best things I ate this week. So in Colorado, for those that don't know the state really well, one thing we have not had in terms of fast food options for literally ever is In-N-Out Burger. And I've had In-N-Out before in Arizona. I've had it in California, and I like it. It's a good burger.
It's overrated.
They just opened. Well, they opened up one in Colorado Springs in like March, I want to say, and they just opened up a couple in Denver. They're opening up one up north now.
They had one in Aurora too before this one.
Yeah. So they opened one not too far from us. And when I say not too far, I'm saying probably like 5 miles from us, which is pretty close. And just so happens last week I was coming home from a meeting pretty early, and it was like 11:30, and I was like, I'm going to see how busy it is over there. And it was like dead. And so I was like, I'm going to go. And I'll be honest, I forgot what their menu included because I had told Victoria, my wife, that I was going to go with her. Let's take the girls. And I'm really glad that I didn't do that because Victoria doesn't eat red meat. She doesn't eat burgers. And so she would have been really pissed because there's nothing but burgers on their menu and fries. And so anyway, going through, got a double and some fries with their spread. And it was very good. I'm not going to say it wasn't good. It was delicious. I really enjoyed myself. I was only in line for about 20 minutes, which is not too bad. All things considered, I was actually listening to our
said it was dead. That's not dead.
I mean, so here, if you haven't been up there, Dan,
you're right. For In-N-Out, that is dead.
Go look at the line they've set up
right.
and how long it is for like overflow. It is ridiculous.
Oh my! Okay, and I just want to say it is overrated, but that doesn't mean it's not good. It's solid. In-N-Out is solid, but it's not this like God's gift to fast food burgers. You know, it's solid.
I couldn't
next
agree
time
more.
you need to get the animal fries, Jose. That's the next.
I don't like the onions on it. That's the problem. So anyway, I know he's so disappointed right now, folks. It was really good. I enjoyed the double and fries. I totally understand why people really like it. Would I wait in line for an hour? Nope, definitely not. And now that I've had it, I can wait until the lines die down and take down all the cones and stuff. But it was good. I really enjoyed it and just thought it was worth mentioning because obviously it's a big deal right now in Colorado. The other big thing that I had that I shared obviously with Bubble Boy was we went to Melting Pot last night. It was Teacher Appreciation Week.
How many times a year are you guys going? Like 8? Jeez.
I mean, it was delicious, dude. They give 25% off if you're an educator, and you don't have to be a teacher because I'm not a teacher. I'm an administrator.
Hey guys, just a shout out to old DaddyDWALLY. Where was the invite for me? Thanks, XRT boys. Both of you are fired. Both of you are fired. You guys heard it here first. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna celebrate and take you to Melting Pot."
We would have taken Dan. And
didn't invite me, guys. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. They did not invite me. Somebody start sending in your applications. These guys are out of here.
We're doing you a favor. You would have said yes, and you would have spent $150 and been like, "I'm upset."
You said it was teacher appreciation discount. Get them out. They're out of here. They're off the show. We're ending the show now, guys. No more. I don't even care what you guys ate now.
We made it 12 episodes.
Also, it was the wives that set the entire thing up. So anyway, I don't know if that helps.
So anyway, it was good and just a very satisfying meal. The one thing I want to quickly shout out, and then I'll pass it back to you guys, and I'm done. Is one of the best desserts you can get at Melting Pot is called Bananas Foster. And it was on a menu at one point, but it's not there anymore. And every time we've asked for the last like 5 years, and we don't go that often, despite what DaddyDWALLY thinks, we've asked for this, and they've always said, "No, we don't have that. No, we don't have that. Sorry." And this time our waitress literally was like, "We still have that. We've had that forever. All you have to do is ask." And we were like, "We ask every time." And they're like, "Oh my God, these waiters are so lazy." Like she was just ragging on everyone. So pro tip, Bananas Foster is obviously and it's on seriously one of the best desserts you can get at the melting pot. All right, that's mine. Over to you guys.
Well, and it, yeah, and to add to that, it has never made any sense, and I'm not one to ever argue with the person bringing me food because I'm just terrified it'll get spat in or something. But I'm like, okay, all it was different. It's white chocolate and caramel and bananas. I know for a fact you have all that back there, and there's no, we can't, no. She's like, yeah. She even said, like Jose said, threw her colleagues under the bus. Anyone that says otherwise is lying to you. So. We went, and I'll give a rundown of what we got. So the standard Fiesta cheese, right, which is just fantastic and probably the best part typically. I went with the California salad, which has mixed greens, candied walnuts, I think, and some gorgonzola cheese. Chapo and I both got the classic dippers, which I don't know how you beat that. Our plates were like this big, and both the girls had like these little skinny plates that cost just as much. But we had, what did we have, Chapo? We had teriyaki steak, some filet mignon,
Caesar sirloin, chicken,
shrimp, and then some pork, and it was just fantastic. Daniel, I know you don't love it, but my honorable mention,
I'm not gonna lie, I've just zoned out this entire time because you guys keep talking about.
Okay, we'll zone back
anyway.
in because this part is a pro tip. The other, because it was hard. I mean, that one was up there, but we also went to La Loma. There's a La Loma in Castle Rock. I know it's the Mexican restaurant across from the Brown Palace downtown, but they opened one up in Castle Rock, and it's just fantastic. They make everything from scratch. You can watch them make the tortillas right there in front of you. And Ashley and I went with the classic mixed grill fajitas, where you get shrimp that's as big as my head and steak and chicken all on a bed of, Chapo, close your ears, earmuffs on this one, just onions they do with their fajitas. They don't add peppers. Just onions.
That sounds incredible. That's my kind of, yeah. I don't need those
La
peppers.
Loma,
Just give me the onions.
Yep. La Loma that's as good as Mexican food gets in my book. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Chance, for bringing me back into the conversation there by talking about some good food there, because I was totally just zoning out. Guys, for the best food that I've had this week, first I'd like to give a shout out to Mike Askins, one of our high school buddies. I was fortunate enough to go with my family up to their house. They actually bought a new house they're up in the mountains, and they're in freaking Grand Junction for all I care about. But they're supposedly still in Littleton, up just past Lockheed and Ken Carl. Do you guys know where that is? I don't know if you guys have been out there, but I
know the area.
Literally, like, his house is up in the mountains, like built up against the giant hill. He got a new house, and it's very nice. And he cooked me a fresh. He said he got this like 30 pounds of meat, ground beef, from some guy, I don't know, some coworker who just only gets fancy ground beef. And guys, this burger was incredible. It had like bacon in it and everything. So shout out to Askins. The burger was phenomenal. I wish I could pay for grass-fed, grass only, grass whatever, all natural beef, but I'm cheap, and I get the grass-fed patties at Costco. That's about it. So shout out to Askins. That was the delicious burger. And then the next best thing I had this week, shout out to Jose, was the Costco cheese pizza. I literally just had it for dinner tonight. Dude,
phenomenal, dude.
So good. And it was perfect too, because I went to Costco at like 5 and they closed at 6, I believe. And I put my order in, stalled a little bit. The kids love going to Costco because to them, they're like, this is an adventure, because they don't get out much thanks to COVID, you know? And so took my time. I barely got anything. And then right when I pulled up, I'm like, is my pizza ready? She's like, it sure is. And it was perfect. Brought it home. Guys, the Costco plain cheese pizza. Yeah, I don't need the pepperoni there, Jose, but highly recommend. You were right, Jose. It was worth the $10, even though I can get other places. Shout out to Costco Pizza. So does anyone have any other food items that they might have forgotten about this week?
I just want to say that Costco needs to bring back the acai bowl. I love the pizza. I like their churros. I love their hot dogs.
Churros.
I have so much respect for everything they do, but we want the acai bowl back. And we had actually heard that there
acai,
was
that's a berry, right? Or a fruit?
Yeah, but it was like you could get the mixed ice cream and acai.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
And it was like fruit and granola. It was so good, dude. And the girls loved it. And then there was a rumor they were going to bring burgers. You could get a burger at Costco, and that all went away when COVID started. So I know people that work at Costco are fans of the show. Tell your boss to tell their boss. Bring that stuff back because it was so good. But shout out to everything you do. We really love you guys.
Yeah, shout out to we really do. Well, boys, this is the end of Xbox Record This episode 12. Does anybody have any cool things that they're going to do this week or excited to watch? I don't want to hear about stupid Ted Lasso. I'm going to cut that out right now. I don't want to hear about that. Besides,
actually, I have a quick thing.
Really quick. Do
Go
we
ahead.
have anything we want to share that's cool going on this week? Unfortunately or fortunately, I'm going back to my second full week of work. My God, you guys, the drive is brutal. Chance, my gosh. And yeah, hooray. I'm probably going to have back to school kickoff soon. So that's my week, guys. I'm going to be working. So
I think we do need to try and carve out time for the Ascent. We owe it to the listeners to do an XRT plays. And I think, is it 4-player co-op or 3? I don't remember.
We'll do 3. It's perfect. I think hopefully it's 3. Yeah, I'm all in for the Ascent. But check out that store, by the way. Is that all you wanted to mention? Ascent, Chance? Yeah, I agree. We should do co-op Ascent. I definitely agree. I would rather play that co-op because it looks like a kind of like a Diablo-esque kind of game.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Jose, what were you going to say?
I was going to say one thing I did watch this week on Netflix for those that are interested. I did watch that Resident Evil show. It's called Infinite Darkness. It was like the real strong CGI that came out just recently. Pretty cool. I will say one thing I was surprised. It was only 4 episodes. So that was I was really hoping it was going to be like a 10-episode season because it's actually gorgeous. Like you talk about beautiful CGI. It is absolutely incredible the stuff they're doing. But a cool story, and definitely I think they could do more. They definitely have built it, so there'll be another season, which is cool. I don't know how long it'll take for that to come out, but if you like the Resident Evil universe, you should check it out. The other thing I was joking about, but I'm not totally joking about, is it feels like it's already becoming fall a little bit, starting to see Halloween decorations out in places and candy at Sam's Club, which makes me really excited. And I started work on these bad boys behind me.
You have a membership to Sam's and Costco?
I'm just living my best life.
Oh my, that's incredible. I love it.
But I started working on these bad boys for school, my Halloween vans, which I'm super pumped about. So I got to finish on those this week as well. So super excited. But nope, that's otherwise just get ready for school, man, and eating out as much as we can, enjoying the nice weather and stuff. So
yeah, it's supposed to be hot out here. You guys put on your sunscreen. Make sure you're drinking lots of water out there. Well, this has been episode 12 of Xbox Record This. If you would like to write in or have any questions or have any ideas for the good old days, please write to us at xboxrecordthis@gmail.com. You can find me across all social media at DaddyDWALLY. Chipotle Bear, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at Chipotle_Bear. Feel free to give us shout outs or ideas to places to eat. You want to ask questions there, you can do it directly there as well. And you can find me at Chipotle Bear on Instagram.
I'm BubbleBoy7.
You can find that I've secured the tags for BubbleBoy7 across all social medias. You'll have to do some real hunting to find me on there, though.
I just want to give a quick thank you to all of our listeners. I actually looked up our stats. The last episode, we had a lot of listeners, so I'm really excited for that. Hopefully we'll continue to grow. I already have an idea, guys, for should we do a celebrate, like try to get a guest for 25, 50, 75, 100, or just 50 and 100? Because I've got a really good one who I think might be potential, but I don't want to share it. So should we do 50 or 25?
Oh, 20,
absolutely.
25.
Bring him in.
All right. So I think
I
think this one
I got
we
space
might
right here.
We might
right
have
here.
a chance with this 25 one. So I'm
Don't
super
say
excited.
Pony because we don't have a chance at him.
I mean, like somebody else who's actually in the industry in a podcast. So I'll share that with you guys later.
Get him in here.
So sounds like a plan. As always, gentlemen, see you online.
See you online.
See you online.
Xbox Record This is a podcast created by Daniel Walenzik. You can follow him at DaddyDWALLY on all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_Bear on Twitter. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. You can follow the show at Xbox Record This on all social media. If you'd like to find out more about the show, visit xboxrecordthis.com.